President Trump landed a few hours ago in Hamburg, Germany, for the G20 Summit, where he is expected to meet and likely disagree with German Chancellor Angela Merkel on issues of climate and trade. But as VOA Europe correspondent Luis Ramirez reports, counter-terrorism and Chinese steel dumping could bring them together.
As police step up patrols and protesters set up camp, no one is expecting an easy weekend in Hamburg. Angela Merkel pledges to work toward consensus, but foresees no miracles in her relations with the U.S. administration.
I think there is a high degree of similarities. On other issues, there is a high degree of differences. And therefore, I don't want to anticipate the talks. But I do not think we will have unified positions on all issues at the end. But it is sensible and honest to talk to each other on all issues of international diplomacy.
President Trump says he has bold plans to slap tariffs or impose quotas on steel imports, the latest and perhaps most serious of threats to protect U.S. industry and part of his America First strategy, one that has G20 partners feeling nervous.
And what he's doing, he's throwing all kinds of cards up in the air, NAFTA, a critique of climate change, because he actually wants, I think, a bit of zero-based policy. I think at the end of the day, he probably, of course, wants free trade in the win-win sense. But what he's trying to expose is perhaps some of the hypocrisy of countries like China who talk the talk of openness but don't always deliver. So there's going to be a real clash of the titans at this summit.
Trump's shock talk has brought results. After threatening to not stand by NATO allies who do not pay their share of defense, came pledges by members to boost their contributions. He said he would rip up the North American Free Trade Agreement, and now he has a deal with Mexico on sugar exports. The U.S. leader's target now is China and its cheap steel exports that are blamed for killing jobs not only in the United States, but in Britain and other G20 states, including Germany. Climate is a big issue for some G20 leaders, but analysts say the threat of cheap Chinese steel imports could be a common cause and take precedence.
Many of the G20 members are experiencing exactly the same kinds of economic forces and constraints that the US is facing. So, for example, in the UK, the steel mills in Port Talbot and Redcar were closed because of really overcapacity of supply by the China steel sector. This is not very much different from what's been going on in Ohio and Pennsylvania. So I think that this actually has the opportunity, the chance to get a lot of support.
If leaders manage to find common ground, it will be in sharp contrast to what is on the streets of Hamburg, where protesters have been out since early in the week. Luis Ramirez, VOA News, London.